A Woman of Good Taste by Millie Johnson. Have you ever had a kiss that was so powerful you'd still remember it in all its glorious intensity when you were 85, even though it happened many, many years ago? A kiss preserved in tissue, in a treasure box in your head where all your most precious memories are kept. Every woman should have a kiss like that, at least one, to unwrap and savour over and over again like a favourite everlasting sweet. Mine happened late, when I was fat 40 and forgotten. All career hopes of being an air hostess gone. Me Andy Warhol 15 minutes of fame totally bypassed me. I went straight from bud to seed without ever blooming. And there I was serving up seaside fish and chips for a living, although I use the word living very loosely. I went home every night to a grotty flat, alone, a cold bed, with only the silverfish under the carpet for company. It was a hot summer that year. I slept with the window open and the mosquitoes came and traded their infections for my blood. Then one night, I awoke to find myself being kissed. Not just any old kiss either, but one that pulled up nerves from my toes and twanged them like harp strings. A man in black had his arm around my waist and was holding me at a most romantic angle, and his moist, moist lips were claiming mine for their own. I know what you're thinking. Why didn't I scream? Why wasn't I petrified? A strange man in my bedroom after all, snogging my face off to boot. But I didn't feel in the slightest bit afraid. He had a presence, a commanding, domineering charisma that told me I was helpless in his arms anyway. He could do what he wanted, and there wasn't a damn thing I could do about it. And slut as it makes me, there wasn't a damn thing I wanted to do about it either, except let it happen. Then his lips travelled down over my neck and nipped it exquisitely. And I knew then it hadn't been mosquitoes that had been calling in the night, leaving me limper than a thirsty stick of celery by dawn. He told me I had the most delicious blood he'd ever tasted, thick and flavoured with good old local cuisine, onion gravy over crisp Yorkshire puddings, and a sprinkling of Whitby salt from the sea. He said he only ever intended to draw from me once, but I intoxicated him and he had to have me over and over again. He asked me to leave with him that night and be queen of his castle and his heart and share eternity with him. Well, I only had a shift in the chip shop to look forward to at 11:30 and a day tomorrow washing smocks, so I thought, sod it, why the hell not? 10 years on, there are some things I miss. Sandra, my best mate, for instance. We email, but I couldn't exactly have her over to visit. Be a bit hard to describe why I look like a 20-year-old model while she's got knockers down to her knees and has to have her chin waxed every 2 weeks. And why I garden my white roses in the dark and I don't eat chicken Kiev anymore. I miss the sun sometimes, but I have my hot, drenched memories of me and Sandra in Torremolinos and Benidorm and a particularly wild time in Crete when I pulled a bar owner called Hercules who had a very tickly moustache. Sandra has 2 children, although they aren't much good. One's a useless tosser and the other lives in Bath and he's done rather well for himself. But he doesn't call her more than he has to. His old ma doesn't fit in with his new posh image. I was never blessed with little ones, but then at least we have time to adopt. Until the end of time, actually. The locals don't bother us as long as we leave them alone. They respect our solitude. Anyway, they're far too busy with the werewolves who are a much bigger problem than we ever were. The days of angry village mobs bearing torches are long gone. Besides, our myths and castles bring in the tourists bring in plenty of money, so we cohabit nicely these days. Slav is a wonderful husband. Occasionally, when I'm feeling homesick, he'll bring a takeaway back from Whitby. A victim whose blood is rich with the essence of vinegary fish and chips. I know it sounds gross to you, but we have to eat, and humans are lower down in the food chain than us. No one condemns a lion for killing a little gazelle, do they? It's just the way of things. We are creatures of nature too, not unnatural beasts. I logged onto Facebook last week. I'd love to put down my details next to all those who use it as a platform to show off to make up for their past inadequacies. Andrew Houston, for instance, now running some massive organisation in Hong Kong, married to Portia, with children called Mary Celeste and Archibald. I remember him when he wore a gabardine coat that he used to wipe his bogies on. Anyway, they'd never believe me if I wrote my profile, would they? Little Sheila Clutterthorpe, married to Count Slav, living in a Transylvanian 9th century castle with cellars stuffed to the vaults with gold. Occupation, Princess of the Damned. I noticed that cow June who used to dip my pigtails in ink was on, and I did think about turning up at a window on Halloween. I still might. She's a doctor's receptionist. I bet I'd get more than a few brownie points for that one. I spend a lot of time in my kitchen. I flavour for myself, for my husband, with specially imported Barnsley chops and onion gravy and my magnificent Yorkshire puddings. Food gives me no nutritional value these days, of course, but trust me, the effort is worth it to get those kisses from my man. Sandra's just been to Turkey, and she met a 19-year-old bloke on the beach who gave her a massage. He's gorgeous and poor, and she has an early retirement lump sum and spondylosis. But I can hear the hope in her voice that is genuine, and like I say to her, you have to grab your butterfly of happiness when it comes, however long it intends to stay at your flower for. Of course, he'll break her heart and her bank balance, and when he does, I'll be waiting with my proposal. Slav has a very nice nephew, Maxim, who's come of age. He's a good hunter-provider, and he has those full red wine family lips. Ooh. And as she always made the most gorgeous black pudding fry-ups, we think it's a match made in, well, it's a perfect match. I want her to come out here and join us. It would be like old times, minus the lying out on beaches slathered in Hawaiian tropic, of course. I just wanted her to have one more fun-filled, sun-filled summer to remember. Her memories of the sunlight will have to last her a long, long time. Would I go back? Nah, would I chuff? I was always more of a night owl than a lark anyway, and even though I never became that air hostess, I do get to fly quite often these days. I've got a man who adores me, and he makes me feel more alive than I ever did when I was. I would give up the sun again tomorrow for all those wonderful deep kisses from my lover. We share a passion to undie for. And thanks to Sky, I get to see Emmerdale. You see, you can take a girl out of Yorkshire, but you can never take Yorkshire out of the girl. As my Slav will testify, it's in me blood.